So I did a video a few weeks back about incels. It was a response video to Turfling and Monkey about why don't incels just go and get sex dolls? Because that's pretty much his go-to to just about everything. Not to discourage him or anything like that. I do agree with him, but he asked that question as if he may not have known an answer, and I tried to explain to him, or at least my idea of why. See, when I was younger, I was considered an incel. That was way before this term even came about. You know, these terms are just jumping all over the place. But anyway, like I had one of my friends said he's a foodie. I mean, he's gay, so I can understand why he would use that dumbass term. But, he said he's a foodie, and I almost got on his ass. Like, who the hell don't like food? Like, why would you? Anyway, so I'm a foodie. There's no such thing. Anyway, the term incel is a relatively new term, but based on a definition, I was considered an incel because I could not pick up women for shit. Even the ones that was interested in me or attracted to me, I could not keep their attention long enough to seal the deal, if you will, because I was awkward. I didn't know how to speak to them. I didn't know what to say. I was quick to talk about the truth, which very few women want to hear. Go figure. And I couldn't figure out how to seal the deal. I couldn't figure out how to get women. So when I finally was able to get women, when I started figuring out what it took to get them, I quickly realized I don't want to play this game. It's too much work. It's too much. It's too in depth. It's just annoying, right? So I didn't want to play that game. And I think that's the issue with incels. Because prior to figuring it out, all I wanted to do was figure it out. All I wanted to know was, how do I make this girl like me enough to at least have sex with me a few times? How can I get to that point? It's almost like, seek and conquer, right? And because I didn't know how to do that, it didn't matter how much porn I watched. It didn't matter how much I jerked off. It didn't matter how many sex toys I had, because I had a bunch. I still was yearning to find out, what does it take to get in the pants of a girl? Like, what does it take? I knew I had the goods physically to do it, but I didn't know verbally how to do it. When you are an incel and you're trying to figure this out, no amount of toys or whatever is going to fix that. It's just not going to happen. And I tried to relay that information on a video, and I had only 11, people view that video, but one person actually decided to comment. And the only thing he couldn't mention was the cost of dealing with a woman. And I'm like, when did I ever talk about cost? I not once talk about cost. It doesn't matter how much the sex doll costs or how much it costs to get in the pants of a woman. The problem line, and it was what I was relaying into the message, is that they don't know how to do it. They can't fit in long enough to at least get to that point, which is the reason why sex dolls do not work for an incel. It's not about getting his rocks off. That's not the issue. It's about fitting in and being liked. That's the point of the whole video. The reason why I think incels go rogue is because they tried everything they can think of to get into pants of the woman that they desire, and they can't do it. Whether it's because they're socially awkward, whether because they're too short, whether because they're just not handsome enough, maybe because they're too girly, whatever the case may be, they can't figure it out. And it gets to a point where they don't want to live life, or the lack thereof, because they don't know how to do it. They don't want to. They don't want to live the rest of their lives trying to figure this shit out. So, to the person who did this, and I think his name is Primal MGTOW, you missed the whole point of the video, my nigga. Like, you missed the whole goddamn point. All I'm saying is, these incels couldn't last with a sex doll because the desire to fit in, the desire to be accepted, the desire to get that validation from a woman that you do matter. You can't get that from a prostitute or a sex doll. You can't. That was the basis of that video. It wasn't the cost of the sex doll that's the issue, or the cost of dating. It's the fact that these incels don't feel good enough. They don't feel like they fit in. They don't feel like they're accepted by a society. No matter what they do for a living, they don't feel like they matter enough for a sex doll to work. Like I commented in like my response to your comment. It's one thing to walk away from society because you don't want to fit in. Because what it takes to fit in is not your idea of living. It's a completely different thing if you are forced to walk away from society because nobody accepts you. And as an incel, you are not accepted. So there's no amount of porn, no amount of fleshlights, no matter of sex dolls that's going to change that fact. Because in order to be with a woman, you must pay for it. Even if you have the illusion that you're not paying for, which is a date, and she actually likes you for something, whatever is your money, whether it's because they think you are cool, you're funny, or you're interesting, or whatever. Even if that illusion is true, paying a prostitute, or buying a sex doll, or looking at porn, or going after a fleshlight, doesn't change the fact that you couldn't get a fucking woman to give you a time of day without paying for it. You feel me? So, conclusion of this video, as I reiterated in the last video, incels do not feel like they're worthy. So, because of that fact, it's very difficult for a sex doll to remedy their issue. Because when they go around dealing with women or whatever in society, they feel like they're not included. And these people need to feel like they're included to walk away. You may not have that problem. I don't have that problem anymore. Turf-eating monkey seems to not have that problem. He can get any woman he wants. I feel I can get any woman I want. But with the incel, they don't feel like they can get any woman they want. As a matter of fact, they don't feel like they can get any woman. So a sex doll won't do. It won't cut it for many incels. Not all of them. You know, and the fact that I say this goofy, but not all of them. But for the vast majority of them who are in this issue, that have this issue, they don't feel like they fit in enough to get someone to say, hey, I like you for you. That was the point of my video, guy. It wasn't that me saying that because the sex doll is $10,000, $15,000, it's too costly. Because I assure you, it's a hell of an investment when you look at how much it costs to have a fucking wife. All right? I'm married. Been married for 20 years. It's costly as hell to have a woman with her periods and her birthdays and her anniversaries and her appreciation days and all this other nonsense that you got to deal with. And I'm not even talking about tampons and maxi pads and Excedrin and all the time you got to deal with. It's costly to have a woman in your life. God knows it's costly. And God forbid she decides to pop out a kid you didn't want. You fucked. So there's no amount of cost on a sex doll that's going to change my idea of the investment base when it comes down to it, if that makes any sense. Like, if you invest in a sex doll versus a woman, I can understand that. I have no ill will towards you because I get it. It's a fucking investment to get a sex doll. That doll will pay for itself 10 times over. And if you do want the occasional real lay, you can still go get one. Can't do that with a wife. So it's not the cost. That has nothing to do with it. It's because these incels, or at least in my opinion, how I felt as one, I had to prove to myself that I can fit in. But once I did, and I learned what it took, I realized that's too much damn work for nothing. Because I done had a lot of bitches that I fucked. And I'm going to tell you, not once was it worth the effort, energy, and cost. Not once. But that goddamn, what's it called? They call it the quick shot. I think that's what it's called. The smaller version of the fleshlight. This quick shot. And that freaking magic wand that I got, they done paid for themselves 1,000 times over. 1,000 times over. Because those are the best orgasms I've ever had in my entire life. No woman has ever came close to those. Not even my wife, and she knows my body better than anybody. They're the best orgasm I ever had. So, yeah, I do agree. A sex doll is the answer for those who've known, who have had women in their past. For those who know they can get a woman, a sex doll is right up your alley. Go for it. You can chase every dream you ever had without worrying about anybody trying to hold you down for whatever selfish reason they have. And it saves you tons of money. But for an incel, it's not the same thing. You have to know you can coexist before you can say, I'm an outlaw. And these incels, they just can't say that. I hope that helps.